So this is Cobalt in Uganda, East Africa. When we put the company together, we were really looking for assets that could provide world-class, large-scale cobalt production, really with a view to meet the shortfall that's coming in the cobalt markets. We acquired a very large land package. Let me see if I can't get the laser working, but we acquired a very large land package in Uganda, which we put together in January of this year. We went to raise $5 million, raised $8.5 million, and immediately embarked on a major phase one program. Again, it's a huge package, covers about 2,400 square kilometers. We had a very successful phase one where we have located 12 different target areas with cobalt up to 1.75% and copper in the 1% area. And we also have nickel, which has been as high as 0.5%. So really good phase one. Fortunately, when we raised capital, we raised additional funds, and we've moved into an initial phase of drilling now. So we've launched on one area and are about to launch on a second area very shortly. So I'll take you through that. We have a team at the corporate level that's built and advanced resource projects globally. We also critically have a team based in country headed by Dr. Jennifer Hinton, and we have 25 people based in Uganda. Just very quickly, I'll give you this is a little clip. I know time is short, but it will give us a feeling of provide some context, also show the beginning of our drilling program. Hopefully you found that helpful, just to give some context to the terrain we're dealing with, but also the fact, again, that we're into drilling. Just very quickly highlight a couple of key people. My background is actually securities law and investment banking. From 2000, I've been involved in energy storage, and then over the last 10 years in mining. So this project actually brings several of those key threads together. Very quickly, I'd point out my colleague, Dr. Jennifer Hinton, at the bottom. Dr. Hinton is a PhD in geologic engineering. She's been based in Uganda for 13 years and was actually put into the country by the World Bank 13 years ago. After her time with the World Bank, she recognized just how underexplored Uganda was. She stayed, she locked up the key assets, and those are the assets which today form the basis for M2 Cobalt. Also, Dean Bessera. Dean is our head geo. He was a founder and principal at Apex Geosciences and has run copper gold projects across Africa and has run projects globally. So he's running our work programs and now our drilling programs. And finally, I'd point out Mahendra Naik at the bottom. Mahendra joined us recently. He was a founder of IM Gold, very used to running projects across Africa. And he's also the chairman of Fortune Minerals, so knows a lot about the cobalt side. So a great addition to our team. He is our audit chair. No need, I think, to dwell on this. I think there's a big inflection point. People believe that over the next 2 or 3 years, the shortfall in the cobalt space will be met by Katanga and a lot of the players in the DRC. Beyond that, we need significant new areas of the world to come online, and that's what we're about. I think when you look at the world in general in terms of reserves of cobalt, Clearly, the East Africa dominates, and so our main thesis, we wanted to be East Africa. We didn't want to be in the DRC. There's a number of reasons for that. So we chose the neighboring country, same geology, but without a lot of the political and other issues that exist in the DRC. And this again just shows location. We're surrounded to the east by some of the biggest mines in the world in the DRC, Tanzania to the south, and yet Uganda has been largely underexplored, even though it's in the same geological setting and has had a historic mining production in the past. This is just focused further in on our assets. We own a lot of land around the former Kalimbe mine, which I'll talk a little bit about in a minute. Had the highest grades of copper in the world at the time. We also own a large section of land, 6 licenses, more in the center of the country, which is an area that was highly explored by the World Bank. Showed lots of prospectivity for copper, cobalt, and nickel. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. This is the old Kalimbe mine, produced 17 million tons of copper, averaging 2% between the 50s and 70s. It's a great analog for us. As well as copper, they produced about 25,000 tons of cobalt, which they weren't looking for. And it was a byproduct of the separation process. So a great analog for us. The style of mineralization suggests to us that if we find one deposit like this in a mine, there will be several similar-sized deposits in the surrounding area. And that's certainly been our thesis. We've brought new technology to bear. These are the licenses we own. And we've shot VTEM, done geochemistry, geoscience, and have located several large targets, which we've now turned around, and literally a few weeks ago, as you saw in that little video, we've started to drill. And this is our first drilling area. It's an area where there's 2 large conductors that have been found through the VTEM survey. We have 9 initial drill collars, approximately 2,000 meters of diamond core drilling. So a very big step for us. So that's our Kalimbe area. This is what we call Bujagali, south center of the country. We have a large regional play developing here. We discovered a sediment hosted Katanga-style regional play across several of our license areas with numerous targets. Cobalt as high as 1.75%, elevated copper, and we also have a nickel anomaly, which the mineralization is different again in the bottom license there. It's an ultramafic. So looking quickly at that, you can see the elevated rocks and soils right across these licenses, and all of these targets are in excess of 1 kilometer squared. We're finalizing our geophysics here with a view to start drilling this area over the next couple of months. And there's a closer snapshot again. You can just see how elevated the rocks and soils are across the whole area. And this is the ultramafic. Again, you can see we did a lot of trenching in this area, had widespread mineralization, really good grades of nickel, copper, and cobalt. And this will be the next area we start to drill. In fact, we're mobilizing a drill onto this site at the end of this week. And that's just a closer look again. The first one was cobalt. This is nickel. So just to summarize again, 3 styles of mineralization, very large area. Drilling has commenced at our Kalimbe VMS style deposit, and we're now moving into drilling at Bujagali. You can see where we are compared to our peer group. We have far and away the largest group of assets of any of the juniors. We're also elephant hunting. A number of these players are in places like Ontario that produced 25 tons of cobalt during the life of the cobalt camp. Kalimbe again produced 25,000 tons of cobalt at a time when they weren't looking for it. So that's a summary of us. That's a snapshot of our cap table position. Sorry about that. We market cap of 16 million, and we had about 3 million in cash at the end of the last quarter. Thank you.